Hello everyone! This is our last video lesson for this particular module. Very short, very simple. Here we are going to talk about the cost of capital, which is an important factor in investment appraisal, an input into the investment decision-making process. So in this video lesson, we will cover what the cost of capital is, and we will learn why it is important in investment appraisal. At the end of this video lesson, I hope that you will be able to get a basic understanding of how the cost of capital can be calculated, and you should also be able to interpret this particular metric, the weighted average cost of capital. So let's have a look. Cost of capital. First of all, it reflects the blended cost of raising capital. As we've learned from the previous lesson, companies use a combination of debt and equity to finance its operations or for expansion purposes, and the overall cost of capital is derived as an average cost of all capital sources, weighted according to the company's capital structure. That is why cost of capital is the weighted rate of return that the company pays to providers of capital, share, bond, debenture holders, and other lenders. It's a weighted cost of company's equity and debt. Next, cost of capital also shows the minimum required return that a company must earn in order to make the investment project, such as purchasing new equipment or constructing a new building, worthwhile. It's also called the cutoff rate, target rate, or hurdle rate, required rate of return, and there might be some other terms used in various textbooks. This is the cost of capital as well. It's a minimum required return which the company must earn. In other words, the cost of capital shows the discount rate for determining the present value of future cash flows associated with capital projects in investment appraisal process, and the minimum return that the project must achieve. If you recall previous videos on investment appraisal techniques, we've calculated projects' net present value and internal rate of return in order to evaluate whether the project is worthwhile, whether it's worth pursuing. To do that, we've discounted future cash flows and calculated these metrics. The key input to this decision-making process was the discount rate. It does influence the result, and therefore it is important to use the correct rate for the investment analysis. In previous topics and seminar exercises, we were given a ready number. In reality, in real professional practice, you will not be handed in a ready figure. You will need to calculate it yourself. The cost of capital is the appropriate number to use in investment appraisal, and in this video lesson, we will learn how to calculate it. In other words, the cost of capital is an important part of investment decision-making, as it allows to evaluate whether a proposed project is justified by its cost or not. Any company's decisions to invest into new projects should always generate a return which exceeds the firm's cost of capital used to finance the project. Otherwise, the project will not generate a return for investors. If the firm fails to earn the required rate of return, for example, if the cost of capital for a certain project is 10%, but the company only generates 3% return on this investment, it implies that the project caused losses to the company. The market value of its shares will fall and shareholders' wealth will decline. They will lose money. Earning a return which is higher than the firm's cost of capital is crucial. In reality, the cost of capital is so important that some stock market investment websites provide this information, provide this key metric. For example, have a look. These are data for Amazon on one of the sites which I personally use. These are key financial metrics for the company, and here we have a comparison between weighted average cost of capital, WACC, and a return on capital invested for the company. So we can see here that for Amazon, the cost of capital is 7.3%, while return on invested capital is 11%. In other words, it generates a higher return compared to how much it cost to raise funds for Amazon. And it's not surprising that the value of Amazon shares is increasing all the time. In fact, Amazon used to be one of the best wealth-generating stocks of all times. And this site, for example, even provides a dynamics of how the difference between return on investment and cost of capital changed over the time. So you can see here how it dropped for a certain period and how it's improving nowadays. This is a key statistics, very important in the stock market, and apparently definitely should be taken into account when making any investment decisions. Next, let's have a look how we can calculate the cost of capital for a company. As we know, companies use a combination of debt and equity to finance business expansion. Capital can come from a variety of sources. It's common stock, preferred stock, retained earnings, long-term debt like loans, bonds, debentures, and so on. Therefore, the overall cost of capital, or weighted average cost of capital, can be calculated as an average cost of all these capital sources, weighted according to their importance in the company's capital structure. The cost of each capital source, equity and debt, is multiplied by its relevant weight, and then products are added together. What you also need to know is that cost of capital is measured on after-tax basis. So the general formula for the weighted average cost of capital, or WACC, looks like this. So let's have a look what it shows. The weighted average cost of capital shows the weighted cost of equity-linked capital plus weighted cost of debt-linked capital. And here we see the amount of equity as a share in total value of the company, value of debt, again, as a share in total value of the firm, multiplied by their relevant costs. So RE here is the cost of equity, RD is the cost of debt, and we do also correct for corporate taxes. We include a separate term for taxes. Please don't be scared. You will not be asked to calculate the WACC in your exam. You only need to have a general idea of how weighted average cost of capital is calculated. This is a very important concept in corporate finance, and you will definitely cover this in a lot of detail later in other modules, and you will have to calculate this later in your studies, but not in this particular module. For this, you just need to have a general idea of what it is and how it looks like. Some versions of this formula split the equity component further into additional parts, into common stock and preferred stocks. I've prepared optional slides which provide further details. You can find them on Moodle if you like, but this material will not be examinable. Let me give you an example. Let's imagine that your company obtained or managed to raise 80 million of capital from shareholders who expect to get 12% return on their investment. Otherwise, they will sell their shares because this is a return which they can earn from other companies. And apart from this, it also managed to attract 20 million from lenders, it's borrowed funds. And lenders expect to be paid 8% return for an investment of this particular risk class. For simplicity here, we'll ignore corporate taxes. Let's calculate the weighted average cost of capital for this company. These are our capital components. Equity is worth 80 million. Debt is worth 20 million, which means that the whole firm, the market value of the firm, is the sum of these two components, which is 100 million pounds. In order to calculate the weighted average cost of capital, we'll need to find the weights. In other words, the share of equity in total value of the company and share of debt. And here we can see that it's very simple. The share of equity in total value is 80% and debt represents 20% of total firm's capital. Now we also need to add the cost of capital. Cost of equity in this case is 12%. This is the return expected by shareholders. This is the minimum return which they need to get. And cost of debt, the percentage return required by our lenders, by banks or bondholders, is 8%. Now let's plug in these numbers into our formula for WACC. So here we can see the first component, the weighted cost of equity capital, 12% return expected times its weight, and weighted cost of debt capital, 8% on debt times its weight in total capital of the company. If we make the calculations, we will get the number of 11.2%. This is our WACC, weighted average cost of capital, 11.2%. What does it mean? How to interpret this number? Let me give you an example. As I mentioned, it is important, it is critical that the company generates a return above its cost of capital in order to increase its shareholders' wealth. So in this particular example, let's imagine that the company invested the money which it managed to raise and generated a return of 20%. What does it mean? It means that it managed to earn 20 million pounds of profit on 100 million invested. How will it distribute its profit? How will it share it between different investors? The debt holders, banks or bond holders or debenture holders, will receive their fixed return of 8%, which will represent 1.6 million on 20 million they've provided. If you remember, in the previous lecture, we've learned that bond and debenture holders will receive fixed predetermined interest, predetermined return or coupon rate onto their investment. However, the equity holders will receive a residual profit. That's why it's a risky investment. It carries significantly higher risk because this return is not guaranteed. It's not fixed. It's a residual profit. If you're lucky, if the company is successful, if it generates substantial profit and cash flow, you will receive significant sums. So in this case, shareholders are entitled to 18.4 million out of 20 million earned by the company. In other words, they've managed to earn 23% return on the capital they've provided. This is their return, this is their profit, which they're entitled to, and this is the capital invested. In other words, their return on capital is 23%, significantly higher than the minimum amount which they expect to earn in an alternative investment. In other words, if the company manages to generate return above its WACC, above its cost of capital, shareholders will be better off and their wealth will increase. In this particular case, this company made them substantial profit. It created a fortune for them. They've earned more money than they could in an alternative investment. However, as I mentioned many times, investing in common stocks and common shares for the company is risky because this return is not guaranteed. Because if the company makes less than the cost of their capital, they will still need to repay a fixed return to the debt holders, bond holders, banks, and so on, while the shareholders might be left with nothing. This is it for today and for this week, and this was the last video for this particular module. It's been a pleasure teaching you this year. I do hope that you will get great results in your Romanian assessment, and best of luck with the rest of your studies and future professional career. Best of luck and goodbye.